Welcome back, guys. The second round of the Cruiserweight Classic continued as we saw 3 more matches from the second round. You know, last week the big news or the big talk last week was Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander, kicking the second round off like anyone could try and match that.
I was gonna say that even if they tried, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it yet, it's just not quite as good.
No.
There's a lot of good storytelling in the matches on night 2, but I just think with the pace that Kota and Cedric set,
yeah,
I just don't think a lot of the guys were looking to exhaust themselves completely.
Last week's episode was just so strong because not only did Kota and Cedric have a stellar main event, but Grand Metalik and Tajiri opened really strong.
Yeah.
It was just an overall 2 really great matches, and even with 3 matches, it didn't even touch last week's episode.
Yeah, but we started with Jack Gallagher taking on Akira Tozawa.
This match was the best battle of styles. Like, this was so much whose style was better, and I felt like they did such a good job of using it to try and counteract the other. You know, even though Akira started to take to the hold counter hold style, he was still very much the physical, like, strikes and slams and everything, while Jack Gallagher was keeping with the finesse and just really trying to bug Akira throughout the rest of the match.
I really appreciate it because it harkens back to like early Dragon Gate USA Akira Tozawa for me, because he wasn't always like the super aggressive. I mean, he was in a stable with Ricochet and Apollo Crews, and they were actually the original best friends.
Yeah, that's why they all do the same pose.
It was you know, there was a lot more lightheartedness to Akira Tozawa. I mean, he even showed up in I think 2 separate Kings of Trios tournaments in Chikara,
and that's where I had my first my first introduction to Akira Tozawa.
Yeah, and so I know from his past that he's not above making himself look silly.
Yeah.
Or letting his opponent make him look silly, which he did when Jack Gallagher crossed his arms in between his legs and rolled him into a ball and turned him upside down.
Yeah, no,
then soccer kicked him in the butt.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, Akira, he did a promo with Apollo Crews before the tournament started, and you know, him and Apollo were just kind of joking around and everything. It was it was supposed to be kind of heartfelt, like, hey, it's cool to see one of my best friends up here doing this too, and they had so many just funny moments that they couldn't really keep themselves serious. But that's the thing about Akira, is like, he can be funny, but he's just so intense in the ring that it kind of covers up his ability to be funny. While he's still being funny, you don't really get the sense that he is, because he's trying to maintain that angry character, which is good, because then you get more enveloped in the story that way, I think.
Yeah, and you know, Gallagher said something in his promo package that they played. It's one of the lines they played both tonight and in his first round match, where he talked about that if my opponent keeps it gentlemanly, I will keep it gentlemanly. And that was kind of the theme that happened in this match, because partway through the match, Tozawa rolled himself out of a sunset flip attempt by Jack Gallagher and then kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
And then
that rocked Gallagher. He was selling his jaw for the rest of the match.
But then that was kind of his turning point, where he's like, okay, if you're going to be like this, I'm going to not be so playful, not be so nice. And he starts basically using different torture holds on Akira Tozawa's leg.
Yeah, and it was again and again, and there was so many times that Tozawa was in different submissions that I thought, okay, this is going to end it, and if this doesn't, it's whatever he does next. Yeah. And I was waiting for that one last just wrench to make Tozawa tap out.
Yeah, eventually though, Tozawa got the better of Jack Gallagher. He hit that snap around German suplex.
Yeah, it was
jumped him on his
the
head.
headbutt from Gallagher really like fired him up. Like he got hit with that, and then as soon as he got up, he was just on fire.
Yeah, he hit that, and then he went for the stalling deadlift German suplex like he did in the first round. Gallagher tried to counter by reaching between his own legs and wrapping his hands around Akira Tozawa's knee.
Yeah.
Tozawa was able to pull up hard enough to break the grip on his leg and deliver the German suplex with a bridge to get the pin.
Yes, and now Akira Tozawa moves on to the
quarterfinals.
Yeah, I was gonna say the third round. It's not. I know it's not the semifinals.
Yes. So quarterfinals, he's gonna take on Grand Metalik.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a killer match.
Yeah. At this point after the first round. Pretty much you could say like any of these matches are killer matches.
True.
Because they weeded out a lot of the weakness.
Yeah.
Anthony Bennett. Sorry.
Speaking of weakness, I'm still not sold on Noam Dar. And I don't think you're still not sold on Ho Ho Lun.
I will say this match was better than both of their first round matches.
Yes. This was by far better than their first round matches.
I'm still not 100% sold on Ho Ho Lun. But he did more moves in this match than he did.
And I'll give the credit. I'll give the credit to Noam Dar. He did more moves in this match too. I still didn't really care though.
Yeah.
Like, there were a couple moves where it made me go, oh, that was good, okay, and then it just kind of dragged on again, and it was, I don't know. There's nothing that really draws me into Noam Dar.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this match, I think, was placed in a bad spot in the tournament. Coming right after Akira Tozawa versus Jack Gallagher.
And everything following Cedric versus Kota from last week.
Well, just because these guys worked the exact same match that
True,
Jack Gallagher and Akira Tozawa did. Basically, you had Ho Ho Lun aiming to hit the German suplex that he won the first round with, and you had Noam Dar working over Ho Ho Lun's leg going for the knee bar that he won the first round match with. So, I mean, with not quite the experience of the Jack Gallagher and Akira Tozawa match, you had basically almost the exact same thing happening.
Yeah, which was a big detriment to it as well. So
that's one of the reasons why it also made it a little less interesting in general to watch, because it was just watching the same thing over again, not being executed with the same amount of vigor.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like it felt more like an athletic competition as opposed to a wrestling match.
Yeah, and I think it went a long way to show a little bit more of a sadistic side of Noam Dar, because he was a lot more violent this go around.
Yes.
A lot more, just like, Ho Ho Lun sitting on the ground and Noam Dar would just like walk up and like pop him on the head with a punch or something. Maybe trying to get the rest of the guys to look at him a little more seriously.
Yeah, and eventually Noam Dar is able to get the hook in the knee bar and make him tap out, and Noam Dar is going to face the winner of next week's match between Gulak and Sabre. So
I'm going to be interesting to see if Zack Sabre advances over Drew Gulak, because I'm pretty sure Sabre and Noam Dar are people that have a little history with each other. They're both out of the same area of wrestling. They're both UK guys.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure their paths might have crossed on a Progress.
Yeah, that's Progress, because that's where both of them.
Or maybe Revolution. One of the, I'm pretty sure their paths have crossed at one of the major promotions over in the UK.
I'm pretty sure Noam Dar is a Progress guy. So yeah, that would make the most sense. But then our main event of this week's CWC was Brian Kendrick versus Tony Nese. This was the best example of a struggle in a match.
Yeah.
I felt like both these guys, because both of them played heels in their first round matches, and so I was wondering last week, what was the heel tension going to be like when these two faced off? And I felt like they were trying to out-heel each other.
Yeah, immediately off the bat, though, Tony Nese runs across the ring as soon as the bell sounds and knees the shit out of Brian Kendrick.
Yeah, Kendrick was trying to escape for the first couple minutes of the match.
And he did not let up.
Yeah.
Nese with the knee, and then he ran off the other side.
He went on
again.
He went on
and
a
then,
tear.
Chased him out of the ring, chopped him a bunch. Kendrick tried to at least get one move in, and Nese not moved out of the way.
Yeah. And Nese was starting with flips. He did his first shot at the
K-Brada style.
The moonsault, which he landed on his feet, and then just immediately went back at
And he
Kendrick.
went for another one off the top rope and landed on his feet later in the match.
Yeah, and it was these
the
two.
The first half of the match was just a big struggle for Brian Kendrick. He'd get one or two moves in, but then not gain any headway. And
then when Brian Kendrick did finally start to get into the match, they were grounding themselves a lot, and it felt like because Kendrick kept going for the armbar. And it was at that point, he's struggling to try and make Nese tap out. And Nese, at one point, they're laying on the ground, and Nese is just, kicking and kneeing him in the back, and Kendrick's still wrenching on the arm. It felt like they were trying their hardest not to let up on each other.
And it makes sense, too, because, Kendrick, while he had him in, the armbar, was, face-washing him with his boot, too. So it made it look extremely competitive during this portion of the match, the grounded portion. And
then this was a big step up for Nese because he had a more capable opponent, and so he was actually able to not only show his power but his quickness a bit more this time. His ability to move around the ring, the dive that he did to the outside and took out Kendrick. It was
just a completely no touch backflip over the ropes.
Yeah, it was kind of a half a corkscrew kind of thing.
Yeah, Kendrick did not catch him well though.
No, well, Nese is quite a bit bigger than Kendrick, so it's a bit harder to catch someone the size of Nese. So I don't blame Kendrick at all. They seemed fine after the dive. I think Nese probably. It looked like he might have jerked his arm a little bit, but nothing.
He was selling his arm from the 9-minute long armbar. No, the one thing
9 minutes of armbar.
When they showed the replay of the match afterwards, and they showed the replay of Nese doing the dive, the first thing he actually did, he hit the ground, and he did this and checked on his leg, and then got back up.
Oh, really?
Almost like he was making
sure. I don't think I noticed that.
It was, He put both of his hands on the side of his knee, and almost like he was making sure that maybe he landed on it pretty hard, making sure that it felt okay.
Oh, okay.
Or he could have hit it so hard it went numb, so he was making sure that nothing
felt
out of place.
Yeah.
And then he got, but it was literally like that, like a 1 second tap on his leg, and he got back up.
Yeah, just to ensure that everything's where it's supposed to be. But yeah, no, this from beginning to end, there was just so much intensity from both of these guys, just doing everything they could, and it was such an because we've seen face versus face the tenacity of who can last longer. This was just more who can rough the other one up more.
Yeah,
and just aggression in this. It was really good.
Yeah, and it surprised me how at the end feverishly Brian Kendrick gets the reverse headlock takeover and sinks into the bully choke, and then Tony Nese just immediately starts to stand up, and Brian Kendrick's like, "No, you don't." And
it again. I think Nese actually tried to go up for
almost like an angle slam,
or Samoan drop or something. Yeah, and then Brian got him right back into the bully choke, and it was so cool to see that. And then I think Nese ended up getting the ropes. And Kendrick started to go up for a top rope move, and then Nese kicked him in the head, which made him tumble off. Nese goes up to the top, goes for the 450, and Kendrick rolls out of the way, and as soon as Nese hits and pops back up, he locks in a crossface and makes Nese tap out instantly. So Brian Kendrick moving on to the quarterfinals, and it was...
He goes on facing Kota Ibushi.
I don't know how that match is going to go.
I think it's going to be very kick heavy.
It's going to be an interesting matchup there.
What I like is that Brian Kendrick has fought both of these matches with very different style.
Yes.
And I think the next match is going to be completely different as well.
Keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Another, we say it every week. We love the Cruiserweight Classic. It's fantastic. Did that rhyme? That rhymed.
I love the Cruiserweight Classic. It is fantastic. A little bit. There's a bit of a rhyming element to it.
It's so much fun to watch. Another great episode.
Next week we round out round 2.
Yeah, it's happening so fast.
Yeah, Drew Gulak is going against Zack Sabre Jr. I am super torn on this match because these are two of my favorite guys.
The one I'm torn on is Lince Dorado versus Rich Swann because these are two guys that I felt were possible winners. Rich Swann being my dark horse, and Lince just because I have a little bit of favoritism towards him. I felt like it would be really cool to see him win.
Yeah, and then there's also going to be Johnny Gargano versus T.J. Perkins.
Yeah, that is going to. All 3 of these matches are going to be top notch next week. So next week's going to be one that you'll definitely want to check out. If you haven't checked out the Cruiserweight Classic, you are missing out.
Yeah, the Cruiserweight Classic right now is sort of making the $9.99 per month for the network completely worth it.
And it's totally worth binge watching. So if you want to just watch all 6 episodes in a row, it wouldn't hurt you.
Yeah.
So, but that is it for this week's Cruiserweight Classic review. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe.
Click all the links down in the description. Check out all of our social medias. For those of you that want to check out the podcast, you won't get the Cruiserweight Classic, but you will get our 4 regular reviews, that being Indie News, Raw Review, SmackDown Rundown, and the Midweek Wrap-Up. This week's Midweek Wrap-Up will not only have a review of this week's NXT, but it'll have predictions for this Saturday's NXT TakeOver. So it'll be the first time you get predictions in a podcast. But the predictions you won't see in the podcast will be up in the playlist on the YouTube, and that'll be for SummerSlam because that's this Sunday. So all kinds of stuff happening this week. Post down in the comments what your favorite part of the Cruiserweight Classic has been. What was your favorite match of tonight's episode?
Has your winner been eliminated yet? And if he has, who's your next pick?
Yeah. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next.
Fuck yeah.